Daddy's Girl.
Hey everybody, this is Daja M. Rice and you are watching Daddy's Girl Live. You guys, tonight we have such an amazing episode prepared for you. It is Black Father's Day. Woo! That's what we've declared today over here at Daddy's Girl Live. It is Black Father's Day. So I'm just so excited to have all of these wonderful, beautiful Black men here with me today on Daddy's Girl Live. And I'm going to take a moment to introduce them. Now, I can't read out resumes and do full introductions because all of them are absolutely amazing and influential in their own right. And if I tried to individually introduce every single one of them the way they deserve, we'd be here all day, you guys. So I'm just going to give you names. They're going to wave at you, say hey to you real quick. So we have Eldred Merricks in the building. We got Davonio Middleton. We got Juan Johnson, Chase Rivers, Matthew McFarlin, Troy Oliver, Michael Rice, Dartez Wright, Mr. Ray Shepherd, and then there's me. I'm in here. I'm a lucky girl today. I get to be here with all of this beautiful melanin, all of these great Black men. And so I'm just excited. As y'all can tell, I'm like grinning from ear to ear, but I won't talk about my excitement anymore. This is why I'm excited, because we're in a time right now in our nation where nobody is under attack more than the Black man. And that's not anything new, you guys. That's the way it's always been. But I truly believe that transparency, honesty, and vulnerability is going to be the new freedom. I believe that what we're about to see is Black people rising up, telling you how they really feel about the way things have been in our nation for a very, very long time. And as we know, Father's Day is coming up on Sunday. And so this whole week, I've been honoring Black fathers. And today is going to be no different. We're going to sit here. We're going to listen to them, have a conversation, have a discussion about how they feel about the state of America, how they have always felt about it, and how it has impacted their Black fatherhood. Okay, so let's jump into it. First thing I want to do is just check in with you guys. Like I told you before, I'm so glad that you're here. And I just want to start off by checking in with you. Like, how have you and your families been during this time? We're not only in a time where we're seeing like this new civil rights movement starting. We have a whole pandemic going on right now with COVID-19. So how are you guys doing? Let me start with you, Davonio. How have you and your household been holding up?
I mean, everybody, everyone's good. I work a job. Thankful I'm working a job where we can buy plenty of masks and gloves, and just because they said it's over, I do a lot of property, so a lot of times you don't know who's sick, man. So everybody's good. I make sure that the family stays safe, and just try to watch out for others and make sure I stay good for others around me.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good point that you bring up, that there are a lot of people who are really blessed to still have their jobs during this time. Davonio, you're one of them. But I know there's some people that like your jobs are kind of have been, I hate to say it this way, but like on a chopping block. Like right now, the theater is shut down. the theater, arts and entertainment, they don't want us unless we coming on IG Live or Facebook Live, and that's not feeding nobody. So Chase and Dartez, both of y'all are in arts and entertainment. Even you, Troy, I mean, that's your job. You're on the producer end of things, but can you guys speak to that at all? Any of y'all take that? Like, how has this time been for you?
It's been tough. I had 2 shows that I was doing, like currently and like before the pandemic and everything, and that shut both of them down. So I mean, it's been kind of tough. I've done some film work with very small casts, try to keep it below the limit, even though that was a little bit shaky. But like for the most part, when it comes to theater, I haven't been as much as I want to. I haven't been doing anything except for stuff I can do by myself. So that's tough. I mean, I work for Amazon. I'm currently on leave, but that was a scary thing, just being around so many people every day and then coming home with my 2 little girls. It was a fear, a real fear that I had of just being around my daughters and my wife, just coming from where I'm coming from. Just couldn't be as safe as I wanted to be. So that was tough. But as far as theater, it's been non-existent almost.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's a little different because I'm like in the hidden type of the industry. Like I'm not on the front line. So, what I will say, the company that I am signed to, I have a couple of contracts that I have. One of the companies sent out both of the companies sent out an email early in the pandemic. It was like, we just want to give y'all a heads up. The companies that, license your music and all the companies that buy the licensing and do the registrations, their people have left the offices, so the money's not going to be coming as fast as it normally come. Normally there's a calendar date set, like your check is coming this time, this month, this time next month, and they literally erased all that. Said, we don't know when y'all getting your money.
Wow.
But y'all gonna get it. We just can't tell you when. And so, like, that's really what it's been for me. Like, and I told my kids maybe about 4 weeks into the pandemic, into the quarantine, like, God is really on our side, because based off those emails that I received and just where everything is, we haven't gone hungry. We've been able to eat. I'm saying bills are still being maintained. Everybody's still healthy. Everybody's still well. And, we literally one day I had all my kids here, we was eating. I said, we got to stop, like, really give God some thanks. Like, we can't even get into this meal. We can't do a regular prayer tonight. We got to, like, give God some thanks, because in the middle of this quarantine, none of us have gotten sick. We're all still eating. Everybody is still well. And even though, money has slowed down, we're still good. So
yeah,
I'm just grateful. Like, God, there's a little debate out there right now in the, religious world, the Christian world, about, Black Christians and white Christians and God this and God that. I don't know about all that. All I know is the God that I serve, he been taking care of me.
That's the thought, Troy.
So, I don't know if he white. I don't know if he black. I don't know if he brown. I don't know if Jesus was orange. Jesus could have been Chinese. I don't know. But I know he taking care of me. So
that's all right.
That's my testimony.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And I mean, he's been taking care of all of us. I mean, I put on Facebook not too long ago, I had to shout out my husband, Jonathan, because Jonathan was not an essential worker. The work he was doing got cut off, like completely cut off. He didn't have a job when this pandemic came in. And then he had to go out and get an essential working job just so that he could provide for our house. You know what I'm saying? And that's the weight that is on the man of the house, period, but on the Black man especially. Like, you guys, if I understand correctly, you were brought up and you were raised to understand that, like, you take care of your house. There's a lot of men that believe that, like, my wife, if she want to work, cool, but she shouldn't even have to work. There's a lot of men that think that way. And so imagine the pressure on a man. Well, I'm telling y'all to imagine. I'm speaking to the viewers, not y'all. Y'all don't have to imagine. Y'all living it. But I can just imagine the pressure on you guys as men who take pride in taking care of your families, and then, like, this thing happens that just shifts everything. I mean, can y'all talk about that? Dartez, you want to just speak about that a little bit?
Well, I've been blessed enough, where it hasn't affected me financially. Well, let me take that back. My shows, my traveling, I took a L. I done missed like 8 cities already the top of the year. But I work in a mental hospital, so I haven't lost work. My wife, she's okay. My daughter's okay. But there is some pressure, I can't control if we get sick or not. And I think that's the part that eats me up every day. My daughter had caught a virus, and her temperature got up to 103, and I like to lose my mind. So just trying not to stay on edge to hold it together as I leave my family. That's probably the hardest thing about this whole situation. Staying together as I leave my family so they won't panic. Because if I panic, they're going to panic as well.
Yeah, I feel that. Matthew, you want to speak to that a little bit? I mean, you're coming from multiple places. Like you're a father, you're a husband, you a pastor. This is Pastor Matthew McFarlin, you guys, of Ray of Hope in North Carolina. And so, yeah, like the burden is heavy, I imagine.
Yeah. So it's been extremely heavy, but also extremely rewarding. So I agree with my brother Troy. My wife and I were actually just talking last night, and she works in real estate. I work for the state of North Carolina in administration, and God has really been amazing in our lives. Like this is honestly, we were looking at some things and looking at our bank accounts, and we are at an amazing place right now. So God has really, really been showing himself strong in our lives. As a pastor, though, it's been very difficult to make decisions weekly, not only for my family, but for an entire church. The majority of my congregation are baby boomers, and I'm a millennial, so there's that. And so I'm having to make sure I make the best decision, not only for me, but for them. A lot of them are between the ages of 40 and 60 or 70, have health issues and ailments, but of course want to come to church, but we can't right now. And so,
stay home.
Right. Stay home. I've got to teach them how to get on Facebook because we got to do this live thing and all that stuff. But it's been rewarding, but challenging as well. I want to make sure I'm making the right decision and not emotionally driven, as we can. I think we can definitely be, especially in times like these. But thankfully, even with our church, just as it's been in our home, God has really been blessing us in many ways, specifically financially. Like these last few Sundays, we have seen people give more than what we've seen when things were regular. And so I think that's just a testament to people's faith in God and their trust in him, despite what we're seeing and despite what we're experiencing. And so it's been definitely an emotional roller coaster, but God has definitely been that stabilizer for us during this time. So
yeah. I mean, God has had to be everything to parents in this time, because not only did we get hit with like, oh, the whole world could be infected by this, virus that nobody has a cure to. But then the schools were like, all right, so that means we about to shut down. We're going to send y'all kids home. And now, Mr. Merricks, you not only going to be a dad, but you're going to be a teacher.
Yeah.
You're not going to be a dad, but you're going to be a teacher. Mr. Rice, you are a teacher, but now you gotta be a teacher plus a dad.
That's facts.
So, I mean, any of you guys jump in, Eldred, Mike, Ray, tell us how that was. Like your roles completely shifted. What?
Oh my God.
go ahead.
Low key. Yo, help me. I'm with you, man. I'm with you. No, I mean it's been a challenge. Because when you're in school, you got 8 hours of activity. 8 hours of activity. So now I've got to get creative enough to put back in 8 hours of activity. And so it's been a challenge, but it's been great, to have my children here, safe, at home. As a father, it makes you feel comfortable knowing that, they're not out in the street and I don't have to be concerned about what's going on. They're under my control. And so, I can deal with the nuances of just having them here and eating all the food and having to go get milk every 2 days. But I enjoy having my children. They are the pride of my life, and I absolutely love my baby. So from my perspective, it is a balance, but we try to stay creative. We try to have enough energy to sustain us until school starts again.
Roles most definitely shifted. I went from parent to just helping with homework to parent, teacher, principal, cook. lunch lady. I went to it all. So it was definitely different, especially with my kids got assignments, but of course you didn't have a teacher to give it to them. So not only we were learning together. There's some math I haven't done since high school. So it was definitely a challenge, but we weathered the storm.
Yeah. And then you got somebody like Mike. He's like, well, I'm the one that normally have to be dealing with y'all kids.
Oh man, yeah. That was, hey, I got a little break, but not unfortunately, like it was a blessing. It was, I want to say, you know, the corona wasn't a blessing, but the time, because we was getting ready to start track. We had just finished basketball. I didn't really do basketball this year, but we was about to start track, and then they just shut that down.
Wow.
So you gotta be careful what you ask God for, because I always told God I wanted an entrepreneurial schedule, and I got it. With me being able to adjust, spend time with my son, and I was like, I gotta get up. I gotta get up way before he does, because if I miss it, if I don't get up early enough, he takes the whole day, want to go outside and play. So I was like, man, let me get my whole schedule to be able to shift with me just not being in school. It was definitely a blessing. So yeah, I got a chance to rest with some of the kids, but also I got a chance to spend some time with my son. So it was big.
Yeah, I think like I can definitely say, and I really hope that people hear my heart on this. I don't want to be insensitive, but the quarantine situation was definitely a blessing in disguise. Like, for real. I mean, I didn't realize how tired I was until I was able to like just chill.
Rest.
And I know you know, like your body, after you sit down, your every bone just kind of collapse, like, like slow it down. But we had this time of rest, and it sounds like there's kind of like this unified opinion that we appreciated the time. But then after that time of rest, we started getting all of these reports that another one of our Black brothers had been shot down in the street. Another one of our Black sisters had been violated in their home. And I mean, the pressure that was relieved by us getting the rest during COVID-19, the pressure was just put on 1,000% more once we started getting all of these unresting reports from the media. And so I just want to hear from y'all about that too. Like, how have you been doing amid all the things that have been going on in our nation right now?
I just wanted to say, when I first saw that, we was talking about George Floyd. When I first saw that video, I just thought about when I seen that guy just have his knee on his neck. I just thought about I was asking my mom. I was just saying so many like it's not words to describe how bad that was. I mean, like, just so malicious. I mean, just for him to just look down there and just not even get up. And the thing that caught my eye was the cop that was standing in front of him. He never budged. So I was angry. And it brought back memories of the times I had inquired sometimes with some cops, and I was just so angry, and I had to just stop watching it, because I was just full of rage, and I really had to ask God to forgive me, because it just brought back so many memories from college and stuff like that. So I just really had to ask God to help me and just kind of look at both perspectives.
I'll jump in right here. When I first seen the video, I stopped it and I said to myself, can't watch this. I don't want to see another one of us go. But then I just had I don't know, something came over me, and I watched the whole 8 minutes and 47 seconds, however long the video was. And to see the cop with his hands in his pocket, with his knee on his neck. And what caught me was the grin. He had a sinister grin on his face. He had a very sinister look on his face, looking down on George Floyd while he had his knee in his neck. And I got chills when I seen that grin, because, like, you literally saw his spirit leave his body. If you pay attention to the video, like if you watch it, you see, it was out of somewhere around the 5-6 minute mark. You seen his spirit and his soul leave his, like, literally, I watched a man die. And to see the sinister look on the cop's face, at that moment, I immediately knew this one is going to be different.
Wow.
This is a different generation. This is not my mother. This is not my grandmother's generation. This is a different time. This is going to be different. No way in the world you're going to watch. The world is going to see a man lose his life like that, and it's going to be the same. I knew it was going to be different. I've told this story maybe once or maybe twice. In 2015, somewhere 2016, I was still living in Connecticut. And I admit my prayer life was a little stronger than it is now. No, we're working on getting it back. But at any rate, in prayer, I was praying one day, and the Lord just dropped on me. He was like, I'm going to let Donald win. I'm going to let Donald Trump win. And I went to lunch that same day with my father and my sister. And my father's a pastor. He's an apostle in Connecticut. And I told him that we were talking about Donald Trump and his campaign, because, his campaigns are not campaigns, they're rallies. They're the white supremacy KKK rallies. That's literally what they are. And I said, well, y'all prepare yourself, because Donald's going to win. God's going to allow him to get into the office. And my father rebuked me immediately. He said, shut your mouth. That got the atmosphere. That's not going to happen. Da, da, da. I said, that's going to happen, because there's some things that there's some things that are in America that has to be exposed. And God's going to allow Donald Trump, he has to be the man to be in the office to expose what's going on in the country. And so everything that has been happening since he's been in office is just literally exposing the ugliness of America, not just to us, but literally to the world. Like, everybody on this Zoom call is Black. My first horrible experience with the police was when I was 8 years old. There's nobody on this Zoom call, no brother, that hasn't had an experience with the police that was uncalled for, over exaggerated by them, or made us uncomfortable, or felt like, am I going to die? Like, as Black young men coming up in this country, like, that's what you experience. Racism is in the fabric of the foundation of this country. Like, my definition of racism is, y'all still wish we were slaves.
Wow.
That's how I define it. I see it as, you still wish I was cooking your grits, picking your cotton, washing your dishes, and you're mad because I no longer do that. That's how I define racism. And in this country that we live in, as a Black man, I have 2 Black sons, 6 Black daughters. Every day, it's like, Jesus, please, Lord, keep my kids, keep me, keep my uncles, keep my brothers. So it's like, this whole movement, the George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud, like the last 3, it was so many, it was all ordained. And the moment that they happened, because we're in a pandemic, it literally took United States everybody being stuck in the house. We can't go nowhere. We ain't got nothing else to do but be on social media.
Yep.
I believe the protests are so much in number because people are tired of being in the house and they want to get out of the house and do something. But it took literally for, like, the timing of it, I don't care what nobody say, it's been ordained. Like, for America, this is you. This is what you've been doing. So that's how I feel about it.
Wow.
Shut up.
I want to kind of piggyback on what Troy was saying. I think that it's definitely, the timing has been almost impeccable for America to be exposed. You take a time like the pandemic and everyone's stuck in the house, because these type of things have been happening for years, and we've been aware of it. However, we, people having to work, people having to do this, run around and do different things through what was the norm then, we didn't put so much emphasis or focus on it. And now people have the time, and the exposure is right there in our face. We're sitting at home, and we see this stuff happening. And they're not killings, they're murders. They're murders, and we have to be mindful of that. Aubrey Taylor was murdered. George Floyd was murdered. People were murdered. And I even got a video today, and this just happened yesterday in Clayton County. 5 young Black men, these guys 15 years old and younger, 5, were out just wrestling and ran through the back of this apartment complex. The cop gets out of his car and put a gun at their face. 5 young Black men, he put a gun at their face and was holding them there until other cops showed up. For no reason, then they were Black running through a neighborhood. 15 young men. So, my son is 15. And so when I saw it, you know, I was almost in tears because I'm like, man, that could be my son. And I'm thinking about the amount of fear that they are being subjected to, being on the other side of a gun being pointed at you for no other reason than being Black. You know, it's sad times, you know, and I think that, like Troy said, the exposure is there. You know, we see these things happening, but, you know, we have to make sure that our kids, and I know with my son, I spend a lot of time talking with him about, you know, things you should do, things you shouldn't say when you're out and about. You know, I'm nervous every day. He's like, Dad, I just want to go up the street to the pool. I'm like, what if something happens? You know, but I don't want him to live in the fear, but I want him to be bold in who he is, but also have confidence to be able to get out of a situation until I get there. So I tell him, you have the right to remain silent. You have the right to remain silent until I get there to help resolve this issue. And I think we have to definitely make sure that we're educating not only our young Black men, but our young Black women, because I have a daughter, and I know a lot of brothers here have daughters as well, because, you know, they are subjected to the same thing. So it's not, and the Black race is under attack. You know, we have to look at it as the Black race. And I just think it's time for, you know, we take back ownership of things in our communities. During this pandemic has really, you know, opened me up to a lot of different things. You know, with the time having at home, I meant, you know, just like there's financial literacy. There's different things that we're putting into place just in my family structure so that we can be more cognizant of different things that's going on throughout this world. And that helps us to be, to unite as one and understanding our rights. And, you know, I'm an advocate for voting. I am an advocate for voting and us exercising that right. So I really think, like Troy said, this time has really brought about exposure to America of things that's been going on for years, but now we have the time to actually put emphasis on it and focus on it.
Yeah, I was gonna counter it. You know, I come from Broad River, South Carolina, and New York. But one thing about it I've always seen is like, you know, our leadership is gone, man. Our leadership is gone just for us. You know, our Black men. I went to the Million Man March. I don't know how many of y'all, if y'all went to the first Million Man March. And it was powerful to me because if you ever watch Get on the Bus, you see how so many men, they was taking their sons and they was, you know, they was bonding and they was going there. And one thing about it was when we left that march, nothing changed for the Black man. And it was sad. There was garbage bales that was going to the front of that, you know, up to Farrakhan when he was speaking. And all I could hear as a young man was how we was gonna go back and we was gonna change our community, you know, to be stronger. So we're more alert for certain things. And I think we failed ourselves, man. I'm not gonna put it on a white officer. I'm not gonna put it on a Black officer. I'm gonna say that the police force have a thing where you call personal error. And it's not all about the white man killing the Black man right now. More Black people are getting killed because we're caught in a situation where we can't fight these laws. So when I look at it, I'm like, you know, I'm not gonna keep. My sister can tell y'all, Daja, you know, raise it up in the house. You've seen the agony that I went through with these police, and I got even smart on them. When I felt they was gonna pull me over, I started calling our mother, and she started pulling up to the scene, you know. And a lot of kids now, they don't know these situations. They don't know how it is because our guidance is gone. Our old heads have went somewhere else, start falling in love, whatever it is, but they haven't talked to the youth. And what I try to do down here is, you know, all the mistakes that I made, all the times that I went back and forth to jail, I try to, you know, I'm living life peacefully now. And I try to, my friends, they be like, Dad, why you always lecturing? But I try to tell them, like, bro, it takes 1 second to get in trouble here. It takes a lifetime. You know, some of the smallest incidents, it might mess a young kid up for life. So it's not just death of a Black man, because we talking about a bigger system than just death. Some of the people leaving from death, and I don't want y'all to think that I'm ignorant. I just feel like the people that's leaving from death, they don't have to deal with the continuous hate, the hate coming from a law enforcement. You know, when you're still living, you still gotta apply for jobs. you still got to protect your home. When you're a kid and you don't know that something is around or it's planted there, you know, a kid can have a slingshot, but when he into a jail, he's ended up with 12 charges. And when he go to that jail, his public defender saying, look, we can't fight all these charges. So you got to accept half of these that the police just put on you. I've been done that before. So it's not just about death. And I know we speaking on death for George Floyd and all of that, but it's bigger than death, man. The world woke up because they literally seen a man dying. How long people been watching us die? They've been seeing the after effect of, they said this officer killed him. They kept on saying that. But now it's hurting people because they're actually seeing, like my man said, they're actually seeing the soul leaving the body. And that's what's hurting them. And now they're waking up to that. But it's bigger than just us dying, man. Our kids are losing. These police are sticking it to them where they have no future. I took my son to an arbitration program. And the best thing they can tell me when I took him to this program, because he got in a little fight, so they put him in an arbitration program. And the best thing they can tell me is that we're building another wing for these kids. And I'm like, how ignorant can y'all be when y'all have all this land? Y'all not building no center for them to learn before they get to before they get there?
Yeah.
Who do I talk to so y'all can understand this is stupid?
Yeah.
You have a program to show me that you have a better way to lock these kids up, but you have no way to stop them before they get in there. You know, so, you know, I commend all of y'all brothers, you know, because y'all here right now. And it takes every little step. I seen when we left that Million Man March when I was little, man, a lot of things didn't happen. A lot of Farrakhan, you know, I understand he's a stand-up brother, but Farrakhan didn't come through for our black brothers, man. All that money that was passed, nothing came back to the neighborhood. I didn't see him for a good 12, 13 years after that, being honest. So I'm just telling y'all, like, us being on this phone right now, I appreciate it. I appreciate my sister for bringing something like this because, like I said, man, it's not, man, this, even though we rioting, it's not gonna stop. I didn't even get part of that rioting. I didn't get part of that. I didn't get part of the rallies, nothing, because I felt like I've been at the rallies. I've been there. Call me when it's time to, when it's quiet, when everybody's not yelling, and we can try to change something, you know, but if we're all yelling, there's not too many people gonna change it at that point. But I do understand the cause of, you fear this now. You fear us because we're tired. But like, you know, and most people won't agree with Jay-Z, but I agree on this point to say, look, I want to be there when we actually, after all the yelling stops and the burning stop, put me in that seat, put me there with the fellas who's going to talk about the actual problem and try to change that. Because I'm tired of repeating myself with rioting and rallies, and nothing is going to stop this situation. We got to go in there when it's quiet and change these laws where these officers are getting off.
That's like, I hear so many people talking about like judging people for not going out in the streets and protesting, physically protesting. But one thing that we know is that, I mean, even if you just common sense, like look up the word protesting, it doesn't only mean going out and marching. Like there are so many different ways to protest. You know, you can protest in the boardroom. You can protest from the pulpit. You can protest from the classroom. You can protest from the voting polls. There's so many different ways to protest. And one of the things that I love about what you're saying, Davonio, is just this idea of being proactive, not being reactive, but being proactive to the point where like we are so ahead of this system that we don't have to start these trending hashtags when another person dies. Like we get ahead of it and we're doing things to prevent this from happening at all. That's the real justice. You know, we talk about justice being served when another black man is gunned down, when another white woman, when another black woman is gunned down. But the real justice is it not happening at all. And I guess that's what I want to talk to y'all about. You know, anybody, Dartez, you can start us off, but like, how do we get proactive? How do we start, you know, feeding that knowledge into our communities to be more proactive, like Vaughn is talking about?
Well, the first thing I say that we have to understand that the police is just a root of the seed. The seed was slave catching. Racism And slavery is just a result of economics. That's what we have to implement. Economically, we have to come together as a people to rebuild our communities. I think the issue is, I think that the rioting and all of that is relevant, but where is the list of our demands as Black people? What are we demanding? I know we want equality, I know we want that, but after we get equality, we're still behind because our school system sucks. 58% of the young people are unemployed. These are the issues that we have to take care of, because if we don't get these people jobs, it's going to continue to be crime. It's going to continue to be murder. It's going to continue to be high school dropouts. It's going to be all these issues that's going to still continue even if they treat us right, right? So as a community, we have to have a list of demands, and we have to get together with our older generation, the generation that's coming up, and we have to all sit at a table together and figure out what do we want as a people, and how do we demand that from our government. Rules, laws. Number one, with voting, we have to vote locally. The president is just a face. You know, he's crazy. He's like Judas to Jesus for me. He's necessary for everything that's going on, but we have to vote locally. The Senate, the congressmen, these are the people that make the laws that affect our lives. And why aren't the police being held to the same laws that we are being held to? I'm a concealed carrier. If a man is detained, you cannot use deadly force. That's murder. So if the man was detained, he should have been murdered. You know what I'm saying? You disengage when a man is detained. So holding these people accountable to the same laws that we're accountable to, voting at a local level, Black people getting together and coming up with a list of demands that we want, not just from white people or America, but we got to hold ourselves accountable as well, because we play the part as well. I hate to say it, we kill each other. And I know white on white crime happens, and Asian on Asian, everybody does stuff in their community. I get that, but we have to stop in general because we're killing each other at a faster rate.
I'm so full just listening to y'all, man. This is.
I'll say this. I'll take it in. I'll step in, and I put a post on Facebook maybe about a week or two ago, and the post was saying that we need a voice. Like, where's our voice? In this season, in this moment, us as a people, us Black folk, those that have been born and raised in America, we need a voice. And the question I posed was, where's the voice? Who is the voice? And the reason why I post that, because, you know, my mother, my father, our grandparents, they had Malcolm, they had Martin. You know, like, we had voices, like that one person or just maybe one or two that can speak for maybe not the entirety of us, but the main reason why I said where's our voice, we need a voice, because as recent as today, and it hurt my heart, it really hurt my heart, and I keep it 100 on here with y'all. I almost cried, like I almost felt like crying, because in the midst of everything that's going on, I seen us arguing with each other. Like we're still in the middle of everything that's going on. We still arguing with each other and can't even agree on social media. It's like, y'all, do y'all understand what's happening? Like my brother said, we've been getting, like, Juan, we've been getting killed for the last 400 years. Now we're just being filmed, and it's more public, and it's more, now it's tangible, we can see it. But we've been getting killed. I'll put this on the Facebook post too. I seen a 12 years old, I seen somebody get shot in the back, hands up, police shot him in the back, had nothing to do. At 12 years old, I seen police kill a man in my apartment complex, hands was up, and they shot him in the back and killed him. Nothing ever happened. That's been happening to us. And still to this day, it's like, I just feel it's embedded in us to be so, why is it so hard for us to just come together? Like, why do we have to nitpick each other? Oh, it ain't about that one. Malcolm believed by any means necessary. Martin believed by peace, and I believe that God said this. I believe that Judas. Like, can we just come together, y'all? We all dying. Like, we're the race that's dying. We can't agree, and we can't come together. And it hurt my heart to the point, like, wow, do y'all realize what's happening? Like, even in the midst of the pandemic, in the midst of George Floyd, one of the most horrific murders we've ever seen, caught on video, we still are beefing with each other.
Yeah.
Like, what is there to argue about as a people? Can we just agree on one thing? Stop killing. And I agree with your brother as far as us killing each other. And I get that. And I'm with that. But at the same time, when it's people that is like have sworn, signed, been trained, getting paid a salary to protect and serve, that is killing us at an alarming rate and have been doing. I don't know if anybody's seen it, but I've seen on the last couple of days, they're finding young black men hanging from trees.
Yeah.
Has anybody seen that? And they're saying that they're claiming it's suicide. I'm not buying it. Like, come on, like, and we're still on social media beefing about remedial things. Like, my hope and my prayer is that once we as black folk can literally just come together and just like put all our, I don't care if you Muslim, I don't care if you AME, I don't care if you Baptist, I don't care if you Pentecostal, like whatever. But because at the end of the day, we all black. I don't care what God you serve. At the end of the day, we all black. And then when the white cop got a gun to your head, he not gonna ask you, is it Buddha? Is it Jesus? Are you a Hindu? Or you an atheist? That's all irrelevant. Yeah. So my heart desire is that we all can just put all the religious stuff to side, all our personal agendas to side, and just focus on the thing like, can we keep us safe? Can we keep the next generation safe? Can we protect our young men, our young women? I'm literally looking on my screen right now, on my computer screen, and it says a missing Black Lives Matter activist. I can't pronounce her name. Alawatuan something Sola found dead in Tallahassee.
Yeah.
Her and a 75-year-old woman. Like, what? I don't know. So now they're killing us. Like they've been killing us, but like it's becoming a more common thing. Like they killing us at a rate now, and it's more public because we can see it, and we're still beefing. I just want to know, how can we just come together and stop the pettiness as black folk?
You know, I wondered the same thing. I was just talking to my husband earlier about the Willie Lynch letter, and I know like Dartez, he's like my history book. He could probably talk more about it, but Willie Lynch letter basically was a letter that was written during the time of slavery that basically said, and I'm going to paraphrase it, it basically said, if we can turn black people against each other, we got them. And so, and that's what we need to do foremost. It was kind of like this divide and conquer sort of strategy that they built slavery, that they built America on. And we see that, you know, it's so prevalent even today that black people, we have this misguided anger that we, you know, we are so quick to jump on each other in times of, you know, tension, in times of war, in times of battle. And really it's misguided anger. I was just talking about that earlier, that I feel like I don't care who you support. Can we just agree that this man should not have been murdered in the street? Can we just agree that Black Lives Matter? Can we agree on that? Okay, because that's what we're really working towards. There's a bigger picture, you know, and one of my greatest, I'm just talking as an artist, one of my greatest or most favorite pieces of art from the civil rights movement is Gil Scott-Heron, The Revolution Will Not Be Televised. And basically what he was saying in The Revolution Will Not Be Televised, he was saying that marching is great, you know, protesting is great, but where the real change happens is up here. That's where it's gonna happen. It's gonna start here, and then we're gonna see change everywhere. And so I still think, I'm with you, Troy. I still think I'm with you, Davonio. I think it has to happen here first, but I think where our upcoming generations, and even the generation that I'm a part of, we just don't know what that revolution looks like. So they're doing things that they've seen, that they think worked in the past, you know, but they're doing it with this misguided anger. They're doing it with a lack of leadership, with a lack of strategy, with a lack of goals. And what does that revolution have to look like? I mean, somebody jump on that, Eldred.
I think this Juan.
Juan.
I commend both of the brothers that just talked, Troy and Dartez. Definitely great information. But I think and Troy was hitting on it really good. it's about unifying, and like you said, it's a mind shift. We've been divided as a people for so long that's why you see, you know, and I'm not putting a race on the protest and the rioting, but you see there's a difference in the protesters and the rioters, but it looked like they're all together.
Right.
You know, so I think it's we have to look at, we've been divided for so long, and I think we can't find one voice to speak for us. We don't have the Malcolm X or the Martin Luther King. It's not a one voice approach. This is going to be a unified approach. Well, we're going to come together, everybody on the same mindset, get a list of get an agenda on what we're looking for, the things we want to see change, and we have to make that approach. And also, I think it's one of the biggest things is just educating people, educating our people. I think it's so important, and Dartez was hitting on it nail on the head. I think when it comes to voting, we miss the mark when it comes to voting. And I'm not talking about the number of us showing up, because I know that there's a big disparity in that. I'm talking about the education on which votes we need to be casting. When it comes to our local officials, when it comes to there's 3 branches of government that we vote in: the judicial, the legislative, and the executive. We focus so much on the executive board with the presidents and the mayors that we forget about the judicial and the legislative, because those are the ones, the state senators, the state Supreme Court justices, the judges. Just here in Georgia, did you guys not pay attention to the ballots? I don't know if people paid attention to it or not, but here in Georgia, we had the same judges listed on there on the ballot in every voting bowl in Georgia. The same judges were listed that are currently in office. However, most of them retired in March with a retirement date of September. So what did the governor of Georgia do? He appointed judges to take their seat.
Wow.
Now we're signing a ballot of judges that are already out the door pretty much. And the judges that we're supposed to be voting on as a democratic society are not even on there. So the judges that are making these laws about who get arrested, what laws are still on the book, what laws we're going to implement, these old laws that are on the book that are putting people behind bars for petty crimes, are getting put in the office, they're getting appointed to office by the senators and by these governors who really don't have a care about our community. So I think it's the education thing that has to come. We have to make sure people are educated about the polls, how we vote, and then voting the right people in place to make the best decision for us. Not just because I'm a part of a Democratic Party, a Republican Party, or, you know, I'm just whatever party I'm a part of. Because you're a part of a party don't mean that that's your people. You know, they're not making this decisions for us because we're part of that party or whatever you associate yourself with. But I think that we have to first have a unified approach. We have to have an agenda in place, and we have to have a strong agenda in place and speaking with one voice. And then we have to educate our people on the voting process, because those other branches of the government, we vote every 2 years on that, but we get bigger numbers on the 4th year, which is just our presidential vote.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, if I can piggyback off of what my brother was saying, one concern that I have seen just in the local area that I'm in, is that there are a large amount of African Americans who seem to rely solely on faith and rely solely on God just working it out and it in God's hands. And I feel like we can become so full of faith that we are ignorant to what we are supposed to be responsible for.
Say that again. That's so good.
We tend to rely solely on God handling everything when there are certain things that He has put in our hands that we have to handle. And so it's been my desire to really educate our people and to let them know that you have to do this. Like, you have to go vote. Like, you have to be educated on what's happening. You can't just sit back and just say, I've got the faith and I know that God's going to do it. No, this is something that is going to require you to get out in the forefront, to make your voice be heard, because if not, things are going to continue to go the same. You're going to continue to pray the same prayers, and not saying that prayer does not work, not saying that faith does not work, but faith without works is dead. And this is the time that we have to put in the work and make ourselves present so that we can enact some of these changes that we need in our world today. So that's one thing that has really, really grieved me as a faith leader, because I feel like we are wonderful in our faith, but we are so lacking in our willingness to do more than that. And so, so that's something that I'm constantly praying and working, and even in our congregation, even in the small town that we're in, making sure they know what's going on. Thankfully, I'm blessed to have the mayor of our town. She's a member of our church, so she's able to help bring information to us and let us know what's happening. But that's one thing that I feel like, especially in our African American community, we are so big on making sure our faith is there and making sure our trust is in God. But we do that at the expense of being educated on what we can do.
Yeah.
Things from happening.
Yeah. And then also something I want to talk about is I think a lot of people are a little hopeless because they feel like they go to the polls and vote, and then after that, they may not see the change they want to see like immediately. Or after that, they don't know what to do after they vote. Can anybody talk about that a little bit? I see you nodding your head, Eldred. Can you speak to that a little bit? Like, what are we supposed to be after we vote? What do we do to be an active participant in change after the vote?
Holding those that we voted for accountable, for what we voted them in for. It's funny that we're having these kind of conversations, and you've got to know what drives politicians.
Wow.
And what drives politicians is, number one, having a constituency that that tells them what to do, but you also have lobbyists.
Wow. Talk about that.
Well, lobbyists are those that want certain laws to be changed that will benefit them. Their companies, their corporations. We live in a capitalistic society. America is all about green.
Right.
And I think that if we start to understand as a people that our dollar, right, the dollar, your purchasing power has power. But just like all these gentlemen have been already talking about already on this call, we just can't get along. But it's funny though, because everything that we want, all the things that we do, all our worldly possessions that we all the stuff that we have, we control so much of the spending dollar in this country. You'd be amazed. You'd be amazed that if we could shut down the entire country by not spending 1 cent. All these companies that are going bankruptcy are bankrupt because no one is shopping at their stores, or the retailers that are going. If you just really look around and see, like, this is a model for us. Like, you can see how devastating that if your dollars were pulled away from certain things, how much of an effect that it could be. And so I think for us, and it's tough. I mean, for Black folk, it's tough because we already got pride. We already think, we got to keep up with the Joneses. We already think that, if my brother got more than me, then, I got to come after him. We got this, competition in us. So there's a huge onion that has to be pulled back to get to the root of it. But I think that if we come together, because it's more than just civil rights, it's civil rights,
Wow.
we got
to say that again.
No, it is. It's more than just our civil rights. It's silver
rights. Whoa.
Yeah, we got to understand how we control the dollar in this country.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think as a people we understand that. More would be done because this country is built off the backs of our own ancestors, but we don't understand that. We really don't get that. Like, we really don't get that. And I think that if we can come together, and it's one baby step after the other, one step in front of the other, coming together, forming an organization, getting the mission of that organization together, figuring out what it is that we want to make happen, and then we start to collectively, one by one, come together and make things change, but it's going to take some work.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody wants to work. You know, we all, you know, we all have a common goal. We all have the same fears. We all have the same proclivities. We all want some of the same things in life. But it's funny that we all want the same thing, but we all separate. And so I think the first part of that revolution that you're talking about, Daja, is for us to take one step at a time. Conversations like we're having right now. Mm-hmm. And then from there, we start to have action that's going to lead to what we're trying to do. But it's going to take us really, all of this stuff that's going on, we have got to figure out a way to come together.
Yeah, for sure. We spend $1.3 trillion, Black people in America. African Americans spend $1.3 trillion a year. I didn't want to bring it up, but Daja brought it up, so I'm going to talk about it.
Go ahead.
Historical trauma is real. I think we think trauma is just something happened to a person. Historical trauma is passed along from generation to generation. The divide and conquer spirit is definitely still prevalent. And it started with slavery, with the light-skinned slaves versus the dark-skinned slaves. I don't trust you because you're going to go back and tell master. So the distrust that I can't trust people in my community. I don't trust people in my community. And that's sad. You even taught Black people going to try to hustle you in business. And it may be true. It may not be true. But you're taught these things. Don't deal with Black people. They raggedy. They're going to do this to you. I'd rather deal with this person. Don't do this. You hear these things growing up. And it affects your mind and your subconscious, whether you believe it or not. I had a discussion with my mom. I said, Mom, why did you tell my sister you don't need a man? You could be independent. You could do it on your own. But you never told me that. You told me to find a good woman.
Wow.
Subconsciously, you teach that woman that she don't need a man in her life at the end of the day. But you told me growing up, I need a good woman. So my whole life, what did I do? I looked for a good woman. My sister's whole life, I don't need a man. I can do it on my own. Subconsciously, we are building these things from historical trauma.
Whew. Wow. Taking a moment of survival and making it a way of life. In slavery, we couldn't have a good man. Our men were getting killed. Our men were getting murdered. Our men were getting hung. Our men were getting lynched. You know, we were separated from our men during times of slavery. It was a time of survival. But then we pass it down through generations and make it a way of life.
Right. In the Negro letter, it said, we'll make the woman independent and she'll raise the son to be weak. Yeah. And it's sad because if you really look at it, I've heard a lot of Black women teach their children that, or their daughters, that you don't need a man.
Yeah.
You could be independent. But my mom and my father never told me that. It was always find you a good woman because she's going to help build you. She's going to help stimulate your mind and your creativity and who you are as a man. So we definitely got to get to the root of all these issues in the Black community.
Yeah. So, I mean, I agree with Eldred. Like it takes just that vulnerability, that transparency, the willingness to just sit down and have a conversation, even with our elders, because, sometimes people can get stuck in their ways. Like this, the way granddaddy taught me, this, the way mama taught me, and this just the way we gonna do it. But what if that way doesn't work anymore? Man, what if that way never worked? But you were just comfortable in dysfunction. You were just comfortable in what was really discomfort. What if it doesn't work anymore? What that's what I'm scared of. I am scared that we will continue to do the same things we've been doing, that our Black people will continue to be a hashtag, that we will be trending on social media, but we won't see any real change happen.
Can I speak on that?
Yeah.
It's tough for me. Like, I'm not hopeless at all. Like, but I'm hopeless in the way we've been doing things. Like, I spoke to my mom recently because I just had an altercation with a Karen and a police officer.
Do you mind sharing that experience with us, Chase?
Yeah, I'll share it. Yeah, my wife went to a friend's house, and she was coming home around like, what, 9:30? 11? It was that late? You know, you got a curfew.
Yeah.
It was around like 11:30. And I live in an apartment complex where it's very hard to find parking after 7, 8 o'clock. Sometimes, well, with the pandemic, it's been hard to find parking at 5. So it's knowing that, we try to, work some things out. But my wife, we were on the phone. She was coming home and it was late. So we're on the phone. She gets here and I hear her. When she gets here, I hear her speaking to somebody. I'm not too sure what's going on, but I hear her her tone getting a little agitated. So I'm just like, what's going on? And she's like, it's a parking spot out here not too far from the house, and somebody is standing in the parking spot and won't let me get in. Wow. So I'm like, if you don't tell them to move, like, tell them to get out the way. It's late. What are they doing? So my wife was like, all right, well, I'm going to try to drive around, because she said she's saving a spot for her mom. Her mom is having problems with her foot. So I'm going to drive around and look for another parking spot. So if I don't find another parking spot, I'm going back. But my wife drove around, couldn't find another parking spot, so she right back, trying to get back in there. And at first, the girl's like ignoring her, just trying to, a white girl, just ignoring her, just not even paying no attention to her. So my wife was getting agitated, so she's like, Chase, come outside. And I'm like, probably like 6 feet, trying to keep the coronavirus away. And I'm just like, yo, my wife needs to park here. It's late. Like, can you just, what are you doing? Why are you holding parking spots? That's not right. Like, you're not in the right now. And she's just like, my mom has a foot problem. She has a cast on her foot. I'm just saving that she'll be right here. And I'm like, look, my wife been trying to get to this parking spot for a minute now. Your mom ain't been here, so move. So I get a foot from her, and I put my arms like around her, but I'm not touching her. And I'm like, no. All right, look, my wife got to get in the house. You got to move. So she starts backing up, and I'm like guiding her to the sidewalk. And immediately she goes, I'm 16. You can't put your hands on me that way. So I immediately think in my mind, like, here we go. Because I know that trick. Like, she about to say, all right, whatever. You just get out the way. My wife parks. We leave. We go into the house. I'm playing a game, and it's about 2 hours, hour and a half. It's like 1:30. And I'm playing a video game with my friend, and we're on Xbox, chatting it up. And there's a knock at my door. By this time, my wife is asleep in the bed. So when I hear a knock at the door, I'm thinking it's my neighbor, and we're about to have an issue. I didn't think about the kind of issue we were about to have. I didn't think police officer. I thought older uncle, older brother, father. So I'm like, all right, whatever. I'm ready for that. I look through my peephole, and I see a police officer. So I'm like, she called the cops on me, man. That's immediately I go, she just threatened my life. Like, she just threatened my life. Like, I immediately get so scared. I'm shaking, and I open the door, and I'm like, how you doing? Like, what's going on? He was very nice and very laid back, very calm, but he's just like, did you have an altercation with one of your neighbors just a few ago? And I'm like, yeah, sadly I did. I said, I didn't think it was enough to call the cops over, but yes, we had a little situation. So he was like, all right, do you mind if I come in? And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, I really don't want to let him in, man. I really don't. But then I'm like, I don't want to seem aggressive.
You have anything to hide or anything.
Yeah, I don't want to come off that way. So I'm like, yeah, sure, you can step right in. I'm like, my daughter's asleep. My wife's asleep. Can I wake my wife up? Just, because she was a part of it. So he's like, yeah, sure. So my wife comes out. She's explaining the situation. We're both explaining it to him the same way I'm telling y'all. And he's like, well, the girl said that you shoved her. And I'm like, man, come on, man. Like, I did not shove her, yo. Like, I barely touched her. If anything, I barely touched her. And for her to say I shoved her is just ridiculous. So he's talking to me like, look, I'm going to be completely honest. I heard your side of the story. I heard hers. I believe you. And they were coming off a little bit unbelievable, a little bit, you know what I'm saying, like they were lying. So I'm like, that's cool and all, but like, they called you, and where do we go from here? And he was like, yeah, they want to file a report. So my wife and I immediately go, well, we want to file a report too. If they want to file a report, like I'd rather just leave it where it's at. But if they're filing a report, we're filing a false accusation report. With false, like we gonna go there. So the cop immediately goes, yeah, I don't think all of this is necessary. So I'm like, but you brought it over here to me.
Yeah.
Like, so you would think it's necessary that I want to file a report, but you bring it over here and you say she want to file a report, and you saying it like I'm gonna have to deal with it.
Yeah.
So as soon as we start saying we want to file a report, he was like, all right, before I write the report, let me go over there and try to smooth it over with her and try to see if I could get them to not want to file a report. And he ends up going over there and coming back and saying that they don't want to file a report no more because you guys are neighbors and they don't want to have this thing hanging over you guys' head. And I'm like, it's already doing that. Every time I see them, it's going to be some kind of awkward moment. And then me and my wife was just sitting there like it's sad that we got to think this way, but I'm like, I could have died over a parking spot. I could have died, yo. Mm-hmm. Like, I've been through situations with cops. I'm from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and what I've learned coming to Durham is all these cops are alike. It's a system, and it ain't no different. I used to think it was so different. I'm like, I'm in Philly. I know they getting it. I'm not in the South. I know it's worse in the South. It's bad in Philly too. I had numerous altercations with police officers. Mm-hmm. So like when I come into contact with one of them, like my first thought growing up was just avoid the police officer, stay out of the way.
Yeah.
And really I shouldn't be considered in the way. I'm a citizen just like anybody else. But me and my wife were just sitting there talking like that's crazy. Like anybody we told the story to, we were just sitting there like that's crazy. That's crazy that she would do that. Like that she would say that and this cop would come over. And luckily I got one of the cops that was just like, he seemed like he was a little bit on the, I know what's going on and I don't want to be that one. My wife was like, in the times we're in, for you to be called for this right here is a threat on our life. And he was just like, I understand and all this other stuff. And I'm just like, this is uncalled for. But I'm like, what I pull from it, and this is why I say I'm hopeless. And because when I told the story to my mom, she was like, she was upset. But my mom is late 60s, and she was more along the lines of, let's just pray about it. And I'm like, Mom, we've been praying. Like, we've been praying. What are we going to do? Like, what can we do? Because in all actuality, a lot of these laws were made up when we were 3/5 human. So how can we expect it to even, like, the system isn't broken. It's doing exactly what it was supposed to be. So I'm like, that's why I'm saying I feel a little bit hopeless, but I'm like, I'm with using our money and effecting change. I'm with voting locally, because in order for us to change something like that's been embedded into this nation, it's going to take some demolishing. We can't go into voting is cool, but how we want, we voting people into a system that was already there.
Right.
So as much as you want to be the light that you want the world to be, like I got a friend that's a police officer, and I knew him since we was kids. He was like a little brother to me, a great human. But him as a police officer is totally different. And I know him since we grown up. And it ain't like he got into it thinking, I'm gonna be a police officer and I'm gonna do what everybody do and I'm gonna be a bad police officer. No, he went in wanting to be the light he wanted the world to be. Like, so it's like, I'm not hopeless, but I'm at like how do we get there?
Yeah.
How? I got 2 daughters. I got nieces. Dartez, like, daughters is my goddaughter. Like, when we get to this situation, I got nephews. I've been put through these situations with police officers, but then I'm just thinking, like, what if police officers were created just for protection of white people anyway? They're not here to protect us.
No.
Yeah.
They was here to protect white people's property from newly freed slaves. So in all actuality, what they're doing is right. Or at least that's how I used to think growing up. That's what they're supposed to do. And then as I got older and matured, it's like, no, there's something wrong with this. But now I'm at a place where do I start? What do I do? I've been praying for a long time. What do I do?
And I guess that's a really good question for us to be asking, is like, what can we do? And And that's the question I want to put out to you guys as well. And I would love to hear what you think about this, Mike or Ray. What are we hopeful for? Because I know a lot of times we talk about being hopeless, but I truly believe, and I don't know if anybody would think I'm a little naive in this way, but I truly believe that as long as we have breath in our bodies, we have an opportunity to see change. We have an opportunity to see a brighter day. I don't want to sound like a cliche, but that, that's just what I believe. And so I want to know from you guys, as Black men in America, as Black fathers in America, what are you hopeful for? Mike, you want to start us off?
Yeah, I just wanted to say before we can change the community, we must change ourselves in the inside. And that's been a big thing for me. Like, I think Juan spoke about it, like just the learning and just the unlearn and relearn. Like we had to unlearn a lot of things that our parents taught us, and we had to learn new things. So that's where I'm at, because I think even with the protests and the looting, I was just like, I can't find myself protesting if I'm not helped on game. So I had to go like Google some stuff and just kind of, because I really wasn't a history guy in school. So I was just like, man, I need to go learn before I do any type of protesting.
That's real.
So I just didn't want to put myself in a situation to be like, well, I'm just out here walking and I don't know what's going on. And I think that's what a lot of the youth are doing. They're out there, but they just don't know. They just kind of follow the trend. So, excuse me.
Wow.
I just think it's just the learning aspect. So that's what big on me, is just the inner me learning more about what's going on.
Yeah, I love that. And I'm gonna pass it to you, Ray, next. But yeah, just to piggyback off of that, I think I even like the reason why I called Dartez my history book earlier is because Dartez was one of the first people I met that kind of introduced me to this idea of like, you don't have to go to school to learn. And I'm not telling people to drop out of school. That's not what I mean. I'm just
No, we graduated.
Oh yeah,
we graduated.
Yeah.
But he really, really used to like instill in everyone around him that like this school system, even though we went to an HBCU, a historically Black college university. I see you doing your whoop 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 HBCUs, but we went to a Black school, and there were even some things that they couldn't teach us,
Exactly.
because even though, they were founded by Black individuals, they're a part of a system, that won't permit them the space or time to give us everything we need to understand who we really are as a people, the complexity of the Black race. I didn't even know about the Black diaspora until I was in college. That's horrible. When I was a kid, I used to look at Haitian people like they were other, like we weren't the same. I would look at Jamaicans like they were other, like we weren't the same. It took me to getting in college to realize like, nah, we all Black. We all in this together. The only difference between us is a stop on a boat, is a boat stop.
And a good.
Oh, go ahead, Mike.
No, a good friend of mine, he was saying, he was telling me, he's like, Mike Rice, it seemed like I learned more out of college than I did when I was in college. I was like, that sounds right to everybody. Like, yeah. After I got that diploma, that degree or whatever, I was like, man, I'm still learning. And they were just, that was just funny when he told me that. I was like, but it's true though. We kind of, because we have to continue to learn, even though, we have that degree.
We do.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to continue to put yourself in a position to learn. And that's what I am hopeful for. Like, I'm excited for this moment that our Black people specifically, there are a lot of other people who are becoming allies and whatnot. We won't speak on that, but our Black people, like people who were negligent up until this point, they weren't paying attention. They were just kind of going with the status quo. They're now educating themselves, like you, Mike. They're educating themselves so that they know they know clearly what we're fighting against, or they're learning what we're fighting against, and they know what we're fighting for. Ray, can you speak about that? What are you hopeful for right now?
I'm hopeful for a better future for my kids. Mm-hmm. But for me to be hopeful for a better future, I have to first be the change that I want to see.
Wow.
I can't leave it on someone else, because my actions or lack of actions controls, to me, my kids' future. Mm-hmm. So if I know that systemically we've been put against each other, then I have to show that care to my next brother.
Wow.
So my kids are watching me. We have generational mindsets, things like he said earlier, we've been taught. So your kids unknowingly are watching you. So what are you showing them? What are you instilling in them? So instilling them that their black man is their brother and their friend and not their enemy.
Yeah.
To love first. And to do that, you have to know your history. You can't go forward unless you know where you come from. So if you can learn your history and teach your kids their history, you know how to move forward. And now that we know that we don't have a voice for us, Martin Luther King knew at the time there was no one to speak up for civil rights. So he took the initiative. Malcolm X, he took the initiative. We can't look for someone else to do what we're not willing to put in the work for ourselves.
Wow.
And that's just me.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I guess the only thing left is like, Brother Eldred, how can we encourage? I started out with this thinking like, oh, we're really, really going to hear from the black man. We're going to speak to the black man. But all of these things that you guys have presented tonight, all of the knowledge that y'all have brought to the table tonight, it is not only for the black man, it's for us as a black people. And so I just want you to take this moment, if you have anything encouraging to say that will kind of uplift us and give us a little more strength as we continue to matriculate through this fight for justice and equality.
Wow. That's heavy. We've got some, the first thing that immediately comes to my mind is we've got all these brothers on this call who have given us, including myself, some things to think about, some things to be encouraged about. I sat here and listened to Chase. I was encouraged. I sat here and listened to Matthew and Davonio and Michael and Ray and Dartez and Juan and Troy. Just being on this call, for me, I don't know about everybody else, but just being on this call, number one, it encourages me that, okay, I am sort of on the right path, because we're all in that little bowl, that mixing bowl, saying some of the same things.
Yeah.
So number one, I'm on the right path. Number two, I've got black men on this call. I'm trying not to get teared up, but I've got black men on this call that are raising families as well, who want to see a brighter future for all of them, right? That's encouraging to me, because just because we are on this phone call and having this conversation and we're all like-minded is in and of itself encouraging, because I know that I'm not the only one that's struggling with this stuff in my thought process.
Yeah.
I'm not the only one that's thinking these things. I'm not the only one that's trying to process what's going on. Like, I think that is the most encouraging thing, is that if we can come together and, like I said before, have these conversations, continue to talk. The way you get stuff out of your subconscious is you got to talk about it. You got to talk about things. And I think by the beautiful things that we've said on this phone call has really encouraged me to continue to have the conversations with my family. And I'm sorry, my stuff is getting ready to time out on us.
It's all right. Now we wrapping up.
Yeah, good. So yeah, I would say that we have to, in order to be encouraged, we got to keep having these conversations, and not only that, I'm a praying guy, so I pray, and I know we've said we've prayed, but now I can target my prayers. I know what Chase is struggling with. Mm-hmm. I heard Michael say what he said. I'm listening to Dartez and I'm hearing what he's saying. I know what to pray for. If we can target our prayers in a way, and then we back it up with scripture, there has got to be a change.
Yeah.
There's got to be a change. And so that's what I would leave with everybody on this call. I'm on the phone with Juan, you know what I mean? Who for me, is an encouragement in and of himself. I know his background. And so that's what I would say to this. We got to continue this. We got to continue to have conversations, and we got to continue to talk to one another so that we can grow from one another.
Right.
And listen, period. there is absolutely nothing else to be said, but thank y'all. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank y'all so much.
Oh,
enjoyed it, man.
Thank you.
I can't even
Thank
begin
you.
to
Thank
explain
you
how
so much.
grateful I am, and I'm not gonna try because I've already kept y'all on here for about an hour and a half. So sorry.
Thank you guys. I enjoyed you all, man. I enjoyed you all.
Thank y'all. Appreciate
Oh
y'all.
man, y'all are absolutely
We got
wonderful.
brothers, man.
Well, you guys, this has been Daddy's Girl Live. We're so grateful for all of these wonderful men sitting here with us and being transparent, being vulnerable, just galvanizing this conversation that is so necessary during our time. Y'all, meet me back here next week for Daddy's Girl Live. Same place, same time. And we'll continue this conversation about being a daddy's girl, about the restoration, the reconciliation, and the reestablishment with the relationship with the father. And so, y'all, I love y'all. Love and light. God bless.
Right to you.
Thank you.
I have a web series called Daddy's Girl Live. Can you just say, hey, this is Trey Songz, you watching Daddy's Girl Live?
Hey, this is Trey Songz, and you watching Daddy's Girl Live.